It's nothing super uber, but the fact that it has hey, you did something cool for a Dryad, and you have a narrative description for getting access to this item, could be very informative for, newer GMs to be like, oh, this really inspires me. I want to give this out and use the description that's right here. I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds. All right, I guess it's time for another top 10 D&D Beyond Homebrew. What are we looking at this time?
All right, so we're going to do top 10 Homebrew, and the way we figure out what our top 10 is, we kind of put in all the filters, and then we select the most viewed. We figure that's the thing people want to know the most about. And today we're actually going to be looking at weapons.
Weapons are a lot of fun. I think they're a very big staple of, characters. How much percentage usually do we have of martial characters? Whether you're looking at ranged or whether you're looking at, melee, it's something that very much grabs you as a D&D player of like, this looks really cool, either a description or its powers. There's just something that's awesome about them.
Yeah, and it's not any old weapons. It's magic weapons specifically.
Indeed.
Like, no, the longsword is the best. That is what people really care about.
Right, and that's the direction I was looking at with magic weapons, and
I know that and you know that, but I felt like we should tell them that.
Sure. So like whether you're, if you've been playing long enough, you have something that you've collected over the years that's like, this is my favorite of all time, that, sparks memory and interest, and I absolutely do. So like looking at these kinds of new items within the homebrew section is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I will go over that list and see what our top 10 is. I'm going to pull them up on my handy-dandy device here. And we are going to kick that list off with, the Magician's Judge, which is a Matthew Mercer item. We've got Dryad's Gift, Mithril Weapons, Adamantium Weapons, Summer's Dance, Storm Sunder Great Axe, Blazing Bowstring. It looks like Thor's going to weigh in with Mjolnir, Returning Dagger, and a Vengeance Blade.
So, absolutely a lot of fun, a lot of things to kind of gravitate towards. But, since we're talking about D&D Beyond, I guess we should kind of mention that D&D Beyond is a sponsor for this video.
Yeah, and we're going to put a list for these items down in the description, down in the pinned comment, so you can check them out over on D&D Beyond. I think you just need a free account, and you can go over there and look at all the cool items. Doug also does articles over on the website called Factor of 3, and then he does basically what we're doing here, but by a factor of not 1, not 2, but 3. So you can also check out the corresponding article on the website. There will be a link in the card up here as well.
All right, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab my top pick out of these top 10, and I'm looking at the Dryad's Gift. It is a bow, and this is by Quintus_J. This is the number 2 item on the most viewed list. It is a weapon longbow, and it's rare and requires attunement. A beautiful Dryad removes a branch from her tree. As it transforms itself from a branch to the rough shape of a bow, she pulls a few strands of her hair, and they weave into themselves to become a string. She kisses the bow, and its shape shifts again, the center strong and thick, the ends firm but flexible, and the string tight as she places it in your hands. You can feel that this bow is somehow still alive. This is the Dryad's Gift. You have +1 to bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. Ordinary branches, when drawn, transforms themselves into arrows. They transform back into branches shortly after landing or when removed from the wound of a living creature. The string of this bow is unbreakable by non-magical means, and to the user it smells faintly of sweet flowers. The user gains advantage to any saves based on harmful odors, such as a troglodyte stench ability, and creatures that try to perceive the wielder of this bow by scent must do so with disadvantage. This living bow can speak with the forest. By concentrating on a known recipient and speaking to the bow, the wielder can send a brief message of up to 25 words. The message can only travel within the boundaries of a continuous forest, travel as fast as the wind, and can be understood by the intended recipient. This recipient can reply immediately with a message under the same restrictions. Note that this message is not private and can be overheard by those able to speak with plants anywhere within the forest. To others, it simply rustles of branches and leaves in the wind. And it also says proficiency with a longbow allows you to add your proficiency bonus to the attack roll and any attack you make with it, which is, one of the old, magic item caveats. So, it's there. Notes damage, combat, bane, ammunition, heavy range, two-handed. So a lot of fun with this. I like the fact that it kind of has the message aspect, with it. You could just say, it allows you to cast a message cantrip within the confines of a forest, but they wanted to go through their own, system. I like the fact that it's got the, hey, you kind of have a little bit of a counter to the troglodyte stench ability. It's nothing super uber, but the fact that it has a, hey, you did something cool for a dryad, and you have a narrative description for getting access to this item, could be very informative for, newer GMs to be like, oh, this really inspires me. I want to give this out and use the description that's right here.
Yeah, I really like that it feels like this item actually just came from somebody's game, and it's something that happened.
Right.
Like, the players, the adventuring party had did something for this dryad, and this is a scene that I kind of unfurled during that game. And this is very much a way that I like to give out magic items, so it definitely speaks to me on that level. So, like you said, for inspiration of like, this is what giving out magic items could look like.
Right.
I think is very cool.
And that's one of the main reasons I picked that. What do you got?
All right, so I actually kind of picked two that are kind of very similar. They're rare weapons. They're both done by Unkindness of Ravens, and that is the Mithril weapons and Admantian weapons. So Mithril weapon, rare Mithril weapon can be forged only by a master craftsman for roughly 500 gold pieces, plus 10 times the base price, and have the following properties. If the weapon is heavy, it is no longer so. If the weapon isn't heavy, it becomes light and gains the finesse property. +1 to attack roll. If the weapon is two-handed, it is now instead versatile. Consult the table for damage changes. If it's a magic weapon, it is a magic weapon for overcoming resistances. And then you have the tables of like whatever the original base damage is, and then it kind of alters it depending. And then I'm going to go into the Admantium weapons, and then I kind of go with. Then I'll tell you why I picked these and what I like and don't like. So Admantium weapons it's a weapon that is rare. Admantium weapons can be forged only by a master craftsman for roughly 500 gold pieces, plus 10 times the base price, so the same as the mithril, and then have the following properties: can only be destroyed by magic or special forges that can craft such a weapon to begin with. +1 to damage rolls. Adamantine armor that is struck with this weapon doesn't prevent critical damage. And these magic weapons for purposes of overcoming resistance. So what I like about this, and one of the things I've really struggled with and miss from previous editions, is masterwork weapons. And also weapons that are special or made from special materials, but aren't magic, right? It's really hard to denote this in 5e D&D. And one of the things that it took me a while to figure this out. It shouldn't have, but it did. Like, you can literally just give weapons the same bonus you would give a magic weapon and say it's not magic. Mm-hmm. In some cases, it's actually better than a magic weapon, but in other cases, it's inferior because it doesn't overcome resistance. It doesn't overcome immunity, right? Mm-hmm. So it still has a place in the world. And also, it'd be like really cool thing. So the players might want to be like, oh, how can I get this enchanted? Because it's a cool thing that I've been having. For the Admantium weapon, the thing that I really like about it is, one is like, these are really hard to forge and hard to destroy. And the other thing is, the thing that I really love about it is the feature that allows it to overcome crits or overcome the immunity crits on Adamantine armor. That is super sweet. That is awesome. And, for those, it's probably not even going to come up in your game, right? But it is a cool feature. Or you can even alter it, be like, anything that would make something immune to crits, this overcomes that, right? So that's really cool. It would still be super rare, but it would be a nice flavor. The mithril one, I think that I don't know that I like the damage table and how much it skews, but I do like the idea that something is not considered heavy. It might be versatile now instead. I'm just not sure about the additional damages.
Sure.
And also complexity of tables. That's one thing. And I think the other thing I would do with mithril weapons is I would say they're the same as silver as well.
Sure.
To kind of give them something special. I don't know how I would how I would want to handle the overcoming of the chart and how to adjust that. I mean, you could just do an extra die of damage or something.
I mean, I honestly feel that it's not necessary to add the extra damage. The fact that it steps it down a grade from two-handed to versatile, from one-handed down to light. Getting something access to the finesse property greatly alters what a rogue can sneak attack with.
Yeah,
so
true.
Like, to me, that in and of itself is like, so
and also, like, with a feat, you could technically dual wield great swords or great axes if they're made of mithril, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you might just not want that in your game. I'd probably be okay with it in my game under circumstances.
Sure.
Like, you have to take a feat and, I could see a Goliath doing it, or a half work or something.
Yeah, like if you've already got the powerful build, it makes sense. And like, as somebody who has done the ridiculous when it comes to games and seen other characters, like especially in 3rd edition, where it's like, oh, I take this feat tree and now yes, I am wielding two great swords. Like, it's ridiculous. But you know what? In a game where someone this big is going to go fight a dragon that's this big, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't care. Like the time for squabbling over the little nuts and bolts, it's just not that important to me anymore.
Yeah, so I like the fact that they made a mithril adamantium weapons. Like, the execution, I would do a little bit differently. Not to disparage kindness of ravens. I think conceptually it's cool, and they definitely put some things in there that I really like and some ideas I really like. And, maybe they'll make their way into our own games. And it is something we struggle with, like doing special materials and having weapons made. But I think we just kind of overthought it and made it more complicated than it probably needed to be.
So, like, I've got, I'm always working on creating my own personal stuff, whether it be for my game or an eventual Nerdarchy product. But, creating my own, materials is something that I long to do. So, like, I've got things that are kind of in progress, and this is a good step in a direction. But I've actually got one that I'm gonna kind of give an honorable mention, and it's did not make the top 10. It was the number 12. So I'm gonna get into this, and the sole reason is because this is by Nerdarchy Doug, done by Longshotist. The Petal Blade. It's a weapon, longsword, uncommon. This longsword is oxidized, and budding veins wrap around it from pommel to the tip of the blade. As an action, you can strike the ground and create a 10-foot radius of flowers. The flowers are poisonous, and all non-good creatures must make a DC 12 con save or take 2d10 poison damage and become poisoned until the end of your next turn, or have as much damage and not poisoned if they successfully save. The sword can't be used in this way until the next dawn. So it's versatile, and of course, proficiency with a longsword allows you to add proficiency bonus to any attack rolls you made with it. So I like this, and shout out to Nerdarchy Doug, because it's an awesome item, and he's in the top 12.
He's in the top 12. It was pretty impressive. There's a lot of items on there, which is very cool. But what do you think? Would you allow these in your game? How do you handle special materials in your games? Have you made magic items and put them over on the D&D Beyond Homebrew? Let us know down in the comments and share your thoughts and ideas with the Nerdarchy community.
While you're down there, don't forget to do all those fun things like, share, subscribe, click on that notification bell. You know the drill.
Quick reminder, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we drop new videos here on the channel, so come on back. But you can't wait till then. No worries, we've got you covered. There's a card up here you can check out for our top 10 D&D magic items, wondrous items.
So until next time, stay nerdy.